Matthew 5:6. Makarioi hoi penontes kai dipsontes tein dikaiasune, hati autoi kortas thesontai. Here we are in the midst of the Beatitudes. In the Sermon on the Mount, we read, blessed, and there's an implied verb here, are, of some form of ami. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled. Of course, we're familiar with this structure. We begin with the predicate adjective, the adjective that is predicating or asserting something about these nominative subjects. We have the substantive use of the participle here, right? And this article here is governing both participles, right? This is one group of people who both hunger and thirst. This one group of people hungers and thirsts after righteousness. Righteousness there is the accusative direct object of those two participles. If we were to parse those, they would be present active participles. They're nominative masculine plural. As we noted, this article here is governing both of those participles, and so this is the substantive use of the participle. That's the subject right there. Those who hunger and thirst after righteousness, and then there's the implied to be verb. They are blessed, makarioi. Why are they blessed? Because, or for, they will be filled. That last verb there, as soon as you see that theta, bam, you see someone kicking back in their easy chair feeling passive. Indeed, this is a passive. There's no augment. It's a future passive indicative, and that's a third person plural ending. They will be filled, from the verb kortazo, to fill. I'm going to read now from Wesley Olmsted's Baylor Handbook. He discusses the meaning of dikaiasune, and I want to give you an example of why these handbooks are helpful. He says the meaning of dikaiasune here is hotly disputed. Should we think of dikaiasune as God's gift or God's demand in this context? Should we think of the justice that will characterize heaven's reign, or of God's saving activity, or of the human conduct that conforms to God's standards? And I'm leaving out the citations here in parentheses, BDAG and various authors. Because neither gift nor demand sits uncomfortably in this context, some find both senses present. More probably, however, Olmsted says, because of Matthew's consistent use of the term elsewhere, and because in the other Beatitudes in 5:3 through 10, God's gracious response is introduced in the second half of the verse by hati. The term dikaiasune here should be understood ethically, that is, of the righteous behavior that God requires of his people. So even if you don't agree with his interpretation and reasoning there, let me just challenge you. Are you somebody who hungers and who thirsts after God's righteousness? And may God make us such people.